Number 184 in Eureka's Masters of Cinema collection is Hausu, and this is a really hard one to talk about because it is utterly bonkers. Released in 1977, I don't think I've seen another movie that even comes close to the aesthetic and look and idea of what this one is. The plot itself is fairly simple. We have this daughter of a composer who discovers that her widowed father has made a new relationship and is going to get married to this other woman. She takes it kind of badly and decides to flee with 6 of her classmates to her aunt's house, which turns out to be haunted by something that's going to devour them all. So far, so kind of typical, but what really makes this movie stand out is the aesthetic, the way it's filmed and the way it's presented. It starts off like a candy floss covered schoolgirl melodrama. It doesn't really break that mold. We have all these characters whose names are all basically things about them. We get Angel, the main character. We get Fantasy, who lives in a fantasy world. We get Kung Fu, who, yes, knows Kung Fu. We get Melody, that plays the piano, and so on and so on. These don't feel like really fully fledged characters. We just have things that they do, and that is their name. And these start of the movie, we see these girls just being girls, giggling, laughing, having fun, being overly kind of typical teenagers, and it's shot through a kind of bubblegum lens. And the way it's shot is wonderfully strange. We get all these weird transitions, these low-level in-camera special effects. You have the people travelling with either rear projection or on matte paintings that are obviously fake but very stylized in the way that they're delivered. And it creates this wonderfully uneasy, colourful, extremely vivid, playful kind of nature, along with the music, which is always very playful as well, very jaunty, and it just never quite feels typical. And when we get to the haunted house, when we get to the strange aunt and all the spooky goings on that are happening in this house, it gets really weird and twisted and slowly ramps up into just strange, obscure images. Terrible things happen to these kids, but it doesn't feel very horror-like. It feels almost silly. You know, things that they love tend to devour them or take them down in one way or another. We have people who are vain, they get trapped in, I don't want to spoil it for you, but the way people demise isn't as bloody or gory as you would imagine. It's more a kind of fairy tale-like comeuppance for these characters. They're all wonderful characters that I really did enjoy. But the thing I really liked most about this movie was the filmmaking, the way it looks, the way it's staged, the way the music is layered up, the transitions, the editing, the in-camera effects, the low-level effects are all wonderfully suited to this movie. And I said at the start, it's unlike anything I've ever seen before. And I really appreciated that about it. The story, at its base core, is something that you've kind of seen done before, but it's how they go about delivering that story that makes this an absolute stand-out, fun, enjoyable ride. I loved just looking at the way that scenes were performed, the way they were set up, how they would have people standing in front of like a blue sky and clouds to see them walking back to realise that's just a billboard, but behind them is again the same blue sky that they were just standing in front of. It doesn't necessarily make sense, but artistically it looks wonderful and it's really enjoyable. Not to say that it's style over substance, although it is a little bit, but everything just comes together in a wonderful fashion. I liked the girls, the characters, their playful nature. I liked the kind of teen melodrama and the way it was shot. Just everything about this is completely unique. Even having been made in 1977, I can't think of anything that comes close to this. And this is one that if you've never heard of, you have got to check out the trailer. It'll give you a small taste of what this thing is like. House is wonderful. Highly recommended. This is a blind buy that I can thoroughly suggest checking out. I had never seen or heard of it before. I absolutely adored and loved this movie. Cannot recommend it highly enough. If you've seen it, let me know your thoughts in the comment box below, and I'll see you next time on Man v Film.